about these in detail now. So starting with pre-headlines. A pre-headline comes before the main headline, and the general purpose is to qualify the prospect. Now, what do I mean by qualify the prospect? If you're, say, for example, you have a product which is targeted to a particular group, when people come to your site, you don't want just anybody looking at your sales page, because it's not going to appeal to everybody. You know, you're supposed to have a very targeted group of people that you're selling that specific product or service to. So what you would do is you would include something like attention. If it's aimed at health coaches and consultants, it would be attention health coaches, consultants and trainers. So anybody reading that would instantly know that that's who's being targeted, and anybody else, you know, they'll just click away. So which is great, and it's a simple way to ensure the intended person is reading your message. You don't have to have them. I like to have them on copies where it is an incredibly targeted product, and I know many of you are coaches and you will have a very specific group, so you know, always best to sort of stick that in there. Your main headline, it needs to be attention grabbing. When I mean attention grabbing, when you come to a page, it's really literally got to stop you dead in your tracks. If it fails to grab your attention, you know, you're not going to read it, you know, nobody else is going to read it. So if you're the ideal prospect and you come to the page and you have a boring headline, people are just going to click away. There's nothing to excite, there's nothing to compel. You know, you always think like the prospect when you're writing these. If the prospect doesn't actually emotionally connect with the headline, you totally and utterly lost them. As a general rule, and this is what all, you know, good copywriters do, they always write the headline last. And when you're writing, remember one simple rule, and this goes for any piece of copy you do, whether it's a squeeze page, whether it's an autoresponder or a sales letter. Always remember the golden rule. Prospects will buy an emotion and they will justify it with logic later. And obviously when you get all these elements in place, you know, it will give you a very strong piece of copy. So we're going to have a look at some examples. The best headlines are the ones that make you curious. So it could be something that asks you a certain question, you know, encourages you to sort of read on further. It gives a key answer or solution to the customer's worst problem, or it gives the key benefit of the product. Now, a good rule of thumb, especially if you are less experienced or if you're starting off, is always pick the biggest benefit of your product or service and use that in your headline. You know, I don't ever recommend trying to get clever by, you know, being vague or, you know, trying to play on words. Unless you really know what you're doing, it rarely works, and you will actually lose your prospect. Always be precise, and if you can, you quantify the exact results. So for example, if you have a particular product which is going to put a specific amount of money in your pocket, you know, mention the exact results. Don't just say this is going to make you a lot of money. You actually need to say this is how I banked, and then put in, you know, however much money it is. So always give exact results wherever you can. Example headlines. I've just taken a very simple one. This is from one of a product that I actually created myself. This is how I started off. So the premise of the product it was a guide that helps the baby sleep through the night. So if I started off with help your baby sleep through the night, it's quite boring. It's not really attention grabbing. Okay, fair enough. I know what, you know, I know what it needs to say, but I need to make it a little bit more enticing, you know. And like I said, you need to quantify with actual figures where you can. So if my product is helping a baby sleep 12 hours through the night, you know, I will change the headline to how to get your baby sleeping 12 hours through the night. But it's still, for me, not compelling enough. What you need to do is you need to try and put in the target prospect's worst problem, and that is, you know, they're fearing sleepless nights. You know, as a new parent, what do you fear the most? You fear the sleepless nights. So this is what I've put in. Fed up of sleepless nights, and it's a question. Get your baby sleeping 12 hours through the night. Okay. Now we can it's actually looking a lot better, but we can actually make it even more so better. Okay. Try and think of you know, all the problems You know, it's not just a problem of you sleeping through the night. You know, it's also, you know, what are the problems that it's causing. So, for example, fed up of sleepless nights, stress no more, and end the agony of sleep deprivation, because obviously it causes headaches. You know, you're lethargic, you're tired, you know, you're not functioning properly during the day. So that is hitting more on a sort of emotional level there. And then, you know, we're carrying on by getting your baby sleeping 12 hours through the night quickly and easily. So we're saying not only are you able to get your baby sleeping 12 hours through the night, but you can do it quite quickly as well. And now I want to actually sort of tighten it up a little bit more and quantify it a bit more. If you're able to do so, you can. You know, this technique doesn't always work with every single headline that you'll come up with, but it's a good way. You know, you just try and keep going as much as you possibly can. Fed up of sleepless nights, stress no more, and end the agony of sleep deprivation for both you and your baby by getting your baby sleeping 12 hours through the night in as little as 7 days. Now, I don't know about you, but if you're a new mother or a new father, if you were to read that compared to the first headline that I put up there, you'd probably be rushing to hit that buy it now button. And that's because it's playing on your emotions, you know. It's hitting all the hot buttons of, you know, of the target prospect and you know, really driving that home. So that's just an example of how you'd work your way through a headline.
Let me interject for a moment here. So you guys, you can see a formula here, and jot that formula down. You can see the problem. You can state the problem plus a possible solution, a suggested solution, and then put a time on it, a time limit on it. That's very powerful, because help your baby sleep through the night, that's great, but will that happen this week, or will it happen by age 12? We don't know. Yeah. So it's very powerful when you put there a time limit in as little as 7 days.
Yeah, always try and be as exact as possible.
And sometimes it's enough if you just state the benefit plus the time limit if you want to keep it short. And you can put the problem, you can put it as a pre-headline, and then as a main headline you can put the solution, help your baby sleep through the night in as little as 7 days, and then you can put the rest as a sub-headline. So you can break it up, or you can keep it together, but for ease of reading, you know, it's good to kind of break it up. It's easier on the eyes. But I mean, if it was like the last example, if you are truly fed up with sleepless nights, I mean, dang, people will read on. And that's the key for a headline, is not to sell or anything. It's to force the reader to keep on reading the next sentence, and each sentence should, quote unquote, force the reader to keep on reading.
Yeah.